Louisa Jewell here. How are you doing? How are you in all of this snow if you're in Toronto? I am trying to stay warm. I'm in the house. And, seeing all this snow actually made me think of a tool that my dear friend Shannon Polly and I came up with to help people have a difficult conversation. So, what does snow have to do with having a difficult conversation? Well, we sort of think of, there's those people who bother you. You know who I'm talking about, right? People that you may work with that kind of rub you the wrong way, that, are doing things specifically to get in your face, or they might be passive aggressive. Whatever it is, there's somebody that's bothering you, or it could be a family member, it could be a neighbor. Something's going on. And at first, when it happens, you just don't say anything, right? Because, you don't want to rock the boat. And a lot of people don't want to have difficult conversations because they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to upset things. They don't want to ruin the relationship, or they're worried about the impact on the relationship. So they don't actually say anything. And so we sort of think about the problem then the size of a small snowball. But then the next day it happens again and it's bothering you, and so that snowball like kind of grows as you're going down the hill, say, right? And then that snowball continues to grow the next time it happens, the next time. And then the next thing you know, you've got a huge boulder that's bounding down the hill at you, and it's destroying the relationship because you just finally blow up. You just finally decide you're going to say something and you blow up. So I always think, and today, for example, I was out shoveling the snow earlier today because I thought I want to get rid of some of the stuff before it becomes a big problem. And that is the beauty of having a difficult conversation early, so that it doesn't become a big problem when you have the conversation with the person. So if you have something that's bothering you, you really want to have a good relationship with this person, or you need to because you work with them every day, then do it earlier rather than later. And Shannon and I came up with this 5-step process. We call it the SAUSA method, the SAUSA method. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the 5 steps of how to have a difficult conversation. And this is so helpful. It makes it so much easier when you actually have a process that you can follow to actually have this conversation with someone, because nobody likes to have these conversations. They'd rather run, and hide, under a table than actually have these conversations. So, number 1, the S stands for SOWSA, SOWSA, and the first S stands for focus on the solution. So what is the win-win here? I want you to, in the first step, what is your goal? If your neighbor is parking in the wrong spot, your goal is to have your neighbor park in the right spot. If there's a coworker that is continually cutting you off all the time in meetings, then the goal is to have that person stop doing that. So focus in on what do you actually want to achieve in the conversation. And keep that in mind. A lot of people, they're just so angry by the time they have this conversation, they just spew anything. It ruins the relationship. Nothing happens. And then, they haven't come to a solution. So keep your goal in mind. Focus in on what is the solution to this problem. And what is the win-win in this situation? The other thing that I ask people to prepare for before, when you think about it, is how do you want your relationship to be? So not just the solution, but how do you want your relationship to be at the end of this conversation? Do you want it to be a good relationship? Do you want it to be a civil relationship? Do you want it to be a healthy relationship? That will also guide how you have that difficult conversation. Number 2 is to take ownership. Take ownership of this particular situation. So What I always say when I have to have a difficult conversation, things are not going well with somebody, I always say, well, what's my part? What's my part in how this relationship has been unfolding? Have I done something that might have hurt their feelings? Have I done something that might have been offside? And a lot of people don't do this because a lot of us are kind of ego driven, right? Oh, that person's being mean to me, so I need to talk to them. We don't often look inwards at ourselves and say, what are you doing to contribute to this? Have you been saying things? Have you been doing things? Have you been dishonoring what, is going on with this other person? So always ask, what is your contribution to this issue? And be honest. What are you contributing? And be honest about that. The third step here is walk in their shoes. Walk in their shoes. How do you think they're feeling about this? And I often, when I'm having the difficult conversation, I will ask the person, tell me what's going on with you here. What you were really mad when you left the meeting. Did I say something? Was there something? Please tell me your side of the story. I want to walk in your shoes. Tell it to me from your standpoint, because when I can understand how my behavior is impacting on you, or if in the situation, whatever it is, I want to walk in their shoes so that I can understand more and be more empathetic. And I listen. That's when I shut my mouth and I listen to what their side of the story is. Then the next step here is S, state your point of view. So then this is now when you want to get clear. So you know what you want to achieve in this conversation. You have taken ownership for your part of the conflict. You've now listened to their side of the story so you can be empathetic. Now you want to state clearly what you want to happen here. Say, I'm feeling whenever you cut me off in a meeting, I feel like my ideas are not valued on this team. I feel discounted or I feel embarrassed. And I would really hope that you could give me a chance to finish what I'm saying and then, contribute. So just be clear on what you need at the end of this from your conversation. What is important to you? Because you're having this conversation because you need to come to a resolution on this. You need to come to a solution on this. And finally, A in the Sousa method, A is agree to the plan of action. Agree to a plan of action. So going forward, here's how you and I are going to do this. Because now you've understood their standpoint. Because they might say, I'm not cutting you off in the meetings. You just go way too long. You talk way too much and I'm worried that you monopolize the conversations. That's what they might be saying to you, right? So then the action plan might be, okay, I will do my part to not monopolize the conversation. I will try not to be the only one speaking in a meeting. I'll be more aware of that. And if you could do your part and not cut me off when I'm talking, there's our win-win. That's great. Can we agree that that will be our plan of action in the next meeting? Yes, great. And we kind of set the tone for what the plan of action is. Or we say, hey, you're going to go off and do this. I'm going to do this. In a week's time, we're going to touch base again and talk about this and see how it went. So that is our 5-step method for having a difficult conversation. The first S, focus on the solution. Then take ownership for your part in the conflict. And then walk in their shoes, understand from their standpoint what's going on with them and how they feel about it. Then clearly state what you need and then agree on a plan of action. SOWSA, S-O-W-S-A. Next time you have to have a difficult conversation, go for it. I hope this was helpful. I know difficult conversations are never fun. So good luck with it. Go out and shovel that snow. or don't go and shovel that snow. Mine's all shoveled. All right. Have a nice night, everybody. Stay safe, and we'll see you next Tuesday, 6 o'clock. All right. Good night.